Oh.
So let me stop mine.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
'Cause I didn't even know we could both
I don't think we can.
broadcast at the same time.
It's so meta right now. What's up, my lizard?
Okay, I'm done broadcasting, so it should pick up on yours. Let me make sure it's good.
All right. It says
I
I'm
saw.
live.
I thought I saw Jared online.
Yeah, I did too, and then I invited him, and then he disappeared like a little his
Okay.
snatch. I'm a little
Nice.
upset about it, if I'm being honest. I'm texting him right now. What's going on?
Oh, just living the dream.
Oh yeah.
Okay, talking Sith. Alright, yeah, it is. This is live. Cool. Alright, awesome. Then we're live.
Awesome. Happy 38th birthday to Empire Strikes Back on Monday. This past Monday, Empire turned 38 years old.
Oh, wow, really? I didn't realize that.
See?
That's
May
really
21st,
awesome.
1980. What is this?
Oh, wow. Long time ago.
A long, long time ago.
Starting to feel like that, anyway.
In a galaxy far, far away. Yep. And then Solo tomorrow.
Yes.
Can't wait! So do some assault.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So yeah, sorry. So Solo tomorrow. Mañana. What else did I see that was going on? Of course, now that I'm trying to think about it, my brain is drawing a blank. Yeah, last week. We got a chance to talk a little bit about the Solo movie and kind of our predictions for what we think is gonna, be happening and all that good stuff. I saw on the internet, the interwebs, that
net.
The net.
I was watching
The
Mission
net.
Impossible yesterday, and it was so funny because that movie's from '96, and he was logging into the internet, and it was like, oh my God, it was so funny. It was like sending an email, and it was ridiculous. It was so inaccurate to what reality is. Anyway, sorry, continue.
But yeah, I think it's funny. Rotten Tomatoes has kind of scored it already.
Yeah.
Solo, and I can't remember. It was like a 70-something% it got.
Yeah, they scored it last week, I think.
Yeah. So and I you know what's funny is I remember when Rotten Tomatoes was
crap,
like not considered like a legitimate. It used to be like the Wikipedia, like when we were in school, and it was like Wikipedia is not an okay source.
Yeah,
and
now
then
they have
it's like
standards behind the reviews that they compile, if that makes sense. Because all Rotten Tomatoes is like a Metacritic score.
Right, exactly. But I just thought it was funny because it scored. Oh man, where did it wind up in the list of Star Wars movies? It scored not necessarily like the highest, so it's interesting like the mixed reviews that it's getting so far.
Yeah,
a lot of people are really into
I feel like the people who matter have liked it so far. I've intentionally avoided most everything to do that.
Yeah.
But the people who matter seem to have liked it, and I guess there's one group of people out there that said it was kind of boring, like not like an over-the-top action movie. But I don't need it to be like I don't know. I don't need it to be not slow, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard it played it a little bit safe, like whereas like there was like supposed to be like certain extravagant moments. Like I don't know. I guess it played a little safe, but once again, like I mean, it comes out tomorrow, so I won't know until tomorrow what I think about it because I'm not gonna prejudge the movie.
Like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
Oh, I just can't wait, man. I'm stoked. I don't care. Like, honestly, anyone who's got anything to say right now may as well not, because it won't matter until I've seen it. I can't wait. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really cool. I think it's gonna be awesome. I know that because of the hype kind of surrounding the movie, though. A lot of people are really, really like, and I mean, like I said, the movie comes out tomorrow. It's not even out yet, and already people are like really, really pushing for this Lando film.
Yeah.
And last week we did make a mistake. I think and it wasn't our mistake. It was a mistake made by somebody else, and then we just said what they said. But so we were saying how it was kind of that someone in Lucasfilm or Disney had confirmed that they'd be doing a Lando movie.
You said that, and I said that they didn't.
Oh, well, I thought I had seen, so I read something saying, like, oh, it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, we had this conversation already. You said Kathleen Kennedy confirmed it, and then my immediate response was she didn't confirm it. Somebody read something and read a little bit too much into it, and then posted a sensationalist headline that says, like, Lucasfilm executive producer confirms
Oh, that's
Lando.
right, yeah, we did
when
already
in reality,
so,
she said, like, it's not confirmed at all, but it's going to happen at this point. But
I think so. So yeah, no, I read an article.
Or however you pronounce his name, is signed on for 3 movies or 3 projects. And I mean, we don't know whether they're movies or animated or what. But I mean, I think it would be surprising if they didn't capitalize on Donald Glover's extreme popularity, because they're Disney.
Oh yeah,
they'll overuse him if anything. So yeah, I think for sure we should expect at least him to return in character in something that's live action, but I'm sure they're playing it close to the chest because they want to see how this does too. Like if this doesn't do how they think it's going to do, then they are being safe because they can say, oh, we were never going to do a Lando movie anyway, so it's okay that this bombed. Whereas if this does even like slightly well, they can be like, oh, cool, we're going to do a Lando movie. So I mean, they're not revealing it behooves them. It doesn't benefit them at all to talk about it now. That's what I don't understand about everything they've talked about so far. Like the Jon Favreau trilogy and everything else they've talked about. I mean, some of it you have to talk about because it's going to come out anyway in all the fiscal reports. But a lot of it, they're being super duper like descriptive of, and I don't really see that much of a strategic benefit to that. But that's just me. Obviously, I don't get paid billions of dollars to run Disney, so whatever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The show. Like we said last week, we kind of figured out the time frame it was going to be set in, and it's interesting because now that the Solo movie's kind of like here, and we're about to get it, tomorrow. Finally, we've already people have already kind of tried to not necessarily move on, but. Already, I'm seeing tons of posts about the, not Hans. Oh my God, why am I having such a terrible day? The Ewan McGregor movie, Obi movie. I don't know why I was so dumb. Yeah, right
Kenobi's getting a lot of pull, but I mean, that's not confirmed either. Something has started
I know that
shooting.
There's been
that's the
talks
problem.
about when it might be set, and
something's
I also heard that.
Right now.
Yeah, I also heard that there could possibly be a plot and casting going starting.
Right.
But,
that's what I mean. Anything that's whatever they're doing next, we just don't know what it is. But whatever they're doing next, they know what it is, and they're already starting with production design and set scouting and all that stuff. The only thing that we don't know is what it's going to be, but that's just us. And then anything that they're gonna do for the next 20 years, the script's written. They've already got scripts.
If not,
they just
then
have to
the
get
outlines at least done.
Right, exactly. They just have to be purchased by Disney. But somebody out there wrote a script for a Jabba the Hutt movie. You know what I mean? If Disney's interested, they'll buy the script. So I think that.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that whatever comes next, they're already well on the way to.
Yeah, and I don't know what I really want to see next come after this. I mean, obviously, Episode 9 is starting to come into my mind as far as what we're gonna see and what's gonna happen. And there's been some talks of leaks and things, not necessarily leaks, but information getting out there and things like that. Where the Episode 9. Obviously, I know nothing about it at this point, but that's really where my mind's at this point once the Solo movie's over. And then after that, it's really kind of up to the, Star Wars gods where we go. Cause
but by the time we see 9, we'll know.
Yeah, exactly. I personally would be more happy if it was, hey, Episode 9's over, Solo movie's done. Here's 5 years of other content. like comic books and TV shows and
they're not
this
doing
kind
that.
of stuff.
The next
like,
movie
that
is
would be amazing.
on the calendar for 2021.
We just don't know what it is yet.
Right. They have a movie a year for like the next 8 or 9 years confirmed.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy, but we'll see. I know that I saw a little blurb. It doesn't mean anything at all, but the star of Solo, Alden, blah blah blah, is he wants to see, like, as a fan, I guess, an Old Republic saga, which is cool because that's just reflecting what all the other neckbeards say. But I know that he wants that personally, which is neat to see, I guess. I don't know how to take that.
Yeah,
but
I would like to see something with the Old Republic. I just feel like there's so much content there that hasn't been explored in a more intense way. I mean, obviously, that, like, the casual person hasn't played KOTOR.
That's what I was going to say, is that the Old Republic is like a really rich thing to explore in terms of just content and emotional, like, depths and things like that. But at the same time, how much of that is better experienced in an interactive format? I think that a lot of the KOTOR stuff is so cool because it's a video game, and because you make your own decision and you shape your story and all that, and you can't really get that same feel out of a movie or a series or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it, obviously, but I just feel like part of what makes KOTOR so unique is that it's a game. It was the first Star Wars experience where you got to decide whether you're, good or evil, or what kind of person you were going to be, and I just don't know that they could replicate that just by making a story set in that era. But that's just
I agree. But I mean, I think I agree with that. But then, like, I think to myself, like, for us, if they were to say, like, oh, we're coming out with an Old Republic show or movie or whatever they decide to do, we'd be like, oh man, and immediately start making comparisons to KOTOR, because that's, I mean, that's what we know.
The
but
only
like,
thing we have to draw on.
Exactly, but like, most people would be like, what's the Old Republic? So they wouldn't even really, everything would be kind of new for them, which, I think, like, the average person's experience with it would probably be pretty good. But if you do have any familiarity with the older canon stuff, then, there are going to be some things that might not necessarily sit well with you, especially depending on how they portray certain characters, like Darth Malgus or,
Malik,
Revan and things like that.
I do think that even Malik, as like a casual fan who's not overly familiar with the KOTOR games or whatever they might draw from, I still think that there's, I don't know how they could make it like that compelling as a movie series and not just rehash stuff they've already done. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be bad for the casual fan. I just think that, like, Star Wars thematically is so rich and deep already. Like, what are they going to do in an Old Republic series if they're not going the KOTOR route that hasn't already been explored in terms of emotion or whatever?
That's true, but it'll be interesting to see, especially. I was hoping that this TV series was going to be set in that time frame, but we just found out recently it was actually set in, like, the new era between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So that'll still be interesting. I just don't know how many seasons you can get out of that. You know what I mean? Like, thought to myself, like, how much
TV's
can you
so
actually
weird
get
now.
out?
Like, they have mini-series all the time where it's like, okay, this is going to be 8 2-hour episodes, and then it's over forever. Or you can have Game of Thrones where you know ahead of time it's only going to be 7 or 8 seasons. So, I mean, that happens pretty frequently. TV is so weird. Like, you don't have shows that go 10, 11 years anymore. Other than,
that's
like,
true,
serials.
That's true, and especially if it's a streaming show, like, that's made for a streaming network.
Right.
They tend to make those in big chunks and then wait a while anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and you get them all at once. I mean, they could make they could make it streaming and have 3 or 4 shows that interact with each other, but so it feels like you have a ton. But in reality, you only have 1 or 2 seasons. Like, look at Marvel and Daredevil and the Defenders and all that. We've had 1 season of every show except for Daredevil. And
oh, that's true, but because they do so many of them,
you've had like 10 years of shows. But in reality, you've had 1 of Luke Cage. The second one's coming out, but you've had 1 of Luke Cage, one of Iron Fist, one of now 2 of Jessica Jones, and then 2 of Daredevil, and 1 of Punisher. So I mean, it feels like you have a bunch because of the way that they interact with each other. And I think they could easily do something like that for Star Wars, where you could have, a season that's about some random smuggler or bounty hunter or something, and then another season where they see each other for 6 or 7 episodes, but in reality it's 2 different shows. And just make 20 episode, 15 to 20 episode series, and do them once every 2 or 3 years, and then you're good. So I mean, they could do something like that, and it wouldn't be unpopular, I think. But TV is so weird. Like broadcast TV and network TV and stuff that actually airs on a television set as opposed to a streaming service is so different now from what it was even like 5 or 10 years ago that it's hard to predict. Because you can bet too that they'll be on the cusp of whatever is new. They'll be on the cutting edge. So if there is like a new format that we haven't seen yet, the Star Wars show might be the first one to explore that because it's Disney and because it's Star Wars. They might try to innovate in that way too. So I don't know. It's weird to try to predict what it's going to happen. I'm like you, where we'll see Solo, we'll see 8, and then whatever happens. I'll just take it as it comes.
Yeah, exactly. Because after that, like you said, we have an idea of like a schedule, but we don't know what the content.
Right, we don't know the content. We know some directors and some writers, but we don't know, cast at all. Obviously, we don't know the content even a little bit. So
yeah,
I think it's it's an interesting thing to discuss, but we're gonna have so much to talk about with Solo, and there's so many games too. There's so many Star Wars, so much Star Wars game news coming out shortly that we'll have to talk about too.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. I mean, get some gameplay or footage or whatever you want to call it at E3.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see something Star Wars there. I have a good feeling we will.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been way too long since there's been a really good... I mean, since the Force Unleashed games from, the last generation, there hasn't been a good story-driven Star Wars game. And I mean, even the story
other than,
mode...
Old Republic but that's an MMO. So, I mean, exactly, but the problem is that EA's had a stranglehold on the content. Whereas now they can still make games if they want, but they don't have exclusivity. So, I think we're going to start to see some... I know that, the Spider-Man game is going to be big, but I think that the popularity of the games like the Batman Arkham series and this new Spider-Man game that's coming out, I think those series are going to start to show... LucasArts.
The new Spider-Man game looks absolutely ridiculous.
Right, oh
my
God,
it looks so
good.
Freaking good.
But I think that game's going to do for Spider-Man what Rocksteady did for Batman with the Arkham Asylum games, where it just puts it back on the gaming map. Because honestly, if you look at Spider-Man as a franchise, if they're going to make a video game out of it, it should be the best video game that you could make for a superhero. Like, he's got the best, maneuverability. He's got the best sort of power set without being too overpowered. He's got the best villains and the best storyline options.
That's the thing. It's like, I try to think to myself, like, all right, like I've done it before, and Superman 64 sucked. I mean, Superman 64
it's one of the worst games
of all time.
Of
all time. But, like, I've never played a good Superman game, and even still, I think to myself, like, all right, well, you can fly around, and you can never be beaten.
Right, exactly. There's nothing compelling about that. Whereas Spider-Man has like a lot of compelling options, and I think Star Wars does too. So I think that because the Batman franchise is so popular, and the Spider-Man one I think is about to be as good, if not better, than the Arkham franchise. I think that we're going to see Star Wars say, "Huh," and you'll start to see that story-driven narrative where it's super, interactive, but at the same time, it's a story. It's not like the Arkham games are so cool because of the storyline, and I think that I think we'll start to see something like that now that EA could publish it, but they don't have to be the developers anymore. And so DICE is an EA studio, so I think that we'll start to see someone like not Rocksteady, but someone like that get their hands on it, where we get this deep game, and I'm really excited. I don't know that we'll see it at E3. but I do think we'll see it some news about it this year.
Well, the thing is, like last year at E3, we didn't see Battlefront 2 stuff, but they did show like just them working on stuff that had to do with Star Wars. Like I remember it being like this showcase, kind of like, oh, we have games that we're working on and we're pulling, but it was really most just footage of them, kind of just a studio talking about what they want to do. Yeah, like what they want to do in the future, but they didn't have any gameplay. They didn't have any like examples to show of what they are working on. So I'm thinking like this year, hopefully, the studio decides to come forward and says like, hey, we got something going on.
That's the problem, is they canceled the whatchamacallit game. I can't remember the developer, but
the one that making
Vicarious Visions. It was like 80% done or something like that. So I don't know if they'll show like footage or something, but I do think that this year we'll see like 2020 you're going to see this kind of Star Wars game. 2019 you're going to see this kind of Star Wars game. I think we'll get some news like that this year.
Yeah, like I said, I would love a Star Wars game that you can jump into like a main character, pick your own character, like Mass Effect style or something like that, where you can kind of make somebody or something. Yeah, basically. And I mean, it would be great to see. I mean, honestly, I would love to just see a revamped, But
what's that?
I said I'd love to see just a remade KOTOR, but
not MMO.
That won't happen.
No, I think that BioWare's got too much going on too, because Mass Effect didn't do what they wanted it to do. And
not to mention, yeah, that's true, and not to mention like the logistics of getting the rights to be able to make a Star Wars game isn't probably like the easiest thing in the world. And back in the day when LucasArts was in charge of it, it was a lot different. So now with
everything's
Disney,
different now. It's Disney, it's IPs, everything's crazy. It's expensive, it's limited.
Yeah. Yep, and but yeah, it's still really interesting to see what we'll get, just because Star Wars is such a story-driven saga, and to see just mainly shooting games come out the last couple years, it'll be nice to get something different. But it'll be nice to see what kind of like new stuff they can put into it, because that's a great thing about video games. Like, you could make a video game and just say like, hey, this is in the Star Wars universe, you guys understand that, but you could not put any Star Wars characters in it that we were familiar with it at all, and it could still be fantastic, as long as we have that idea and those familiar things like TIE fighter sounds.
Well, that's what's so interesting, is the IP is what is so limited, like the property of like the code itself, and how to code something like the Force. If you're overtly using the Force in a game, even if you're not calling it the Force, like, Disney's gonna come after you. So
exactly.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. But so like I said, it's coming. Solo's on its way. If you guys happen to get a chance to see it before I do, which I don't think will happen, because I plan on seeing it pretty much right away. But if you do, drop a comment, non-spoiler-y comment, just about your impressions overall, and that'd be really cool to see what you guys are thinking about the movie. Over the last couple of days, my dad has been in town. He left now. He's gone now. But he was here. And while he was here, I was talking to him a little bit about Star Wars, of course. And just the recent movies and, like, its significance to my life and things like that. And
my wife.
My wife. and it was really interesting talking to him, because he's seen the newer movies, but obviously, like, he's the one who took me to see the originals, and he had them in his house and things like that growing up, so I would watch them when I would go to California and visit and stuff. And it was just really interesting talking to him about where Star Wars is now and where it's been and things like that. And he was asking me a lot about the arc, the story arc of the Skywalkers in general, and like where I think it might be going, and like where they might end up. And I just thought it was really interesting because we started to talk about Kylo and his kind of journey and how he's kind of, as far as we know, other than Leia, he's kind of like the last Skywalker around.
Yeah, not so much.
And so,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, not well,
not at all.
No, yeah, whatever. There's Leia, and then there's him, and then that's about it. Other than that, I refuse to call anyone else a Skywalker until it's proven in front of me.
Yeah, whatever.
But we were talking about Kylo and just like his journey and its importance to these like the Skywalker line, and he was wondering, what do you think he like not just Kylo is going to end up, but the Skywalkers in general. Like, what do you think will happen once it's all over? And I thought that was really interesting because I hadn't really given it much thought as to like where, like, what would I was thinking of it more as like, what will happen to the Jedi? What will happen to the Sith? And what will happen to that kind of rivalry between them once this is all said and done? But I didn't really think to myself like, all right, so where does that leave the Skywalker family? Like who's left in the Skywalker family when this is all over, and not only that, but what is their role in the universe now? Because for a long time now, whether it be Anakin Skywalker or Leia being a general or Luke being this big hero, every single Skywalker has had like this big role within the universe. So I just thought it was interesting to think about where they might be. I thought, my thinking was once Episode 9 kind of comes to a close, I told my dad I didn't think there would be any Skywalkers left. That's my thought process. I think once the curtain closes, as they say, that the Skywalker line will kind of be finished up, and
yeah, I disagree.
I think that'll be the end of it.
I think that that they'll leave the door open to continue with like 10, 11, 12 at some point. And I think that the core saga Star Wars movies will always have a Skywalker. I think that's what makes it to them. Like, that's the difference between being a Star Wars story and being a Star Wars movie. Definitively. I'm thinking
that the Skywalker line will... So, like, I think that is definitely a possibility, but I also think that, like, at some point in time, like, they're gonna go away. And maybe they'll come back, and it'll be, like, this big thing where it's like, oh, is that person a Skywalker? And that's awesome, because there used to be this whole lineage of Skywalkers, and they were great, and there was this whole thing.
Yeah,
but
I think so. I think that they'll leave somebody just floating... And that way they have some... I don't think with an intention to use them right away, but I think that they leave the door open that way. I also think that is further evidence as to Rey being Kylo's sister, because I think that Kylo will not have any heirs or anything like that. And I don't think that there's any other siblings. So I think that Rey being a Skywalker is actually really important because she, is the only option to carry on the bloodline.
And I mean that would totally make sense if there was any way possible that Rey could be a Skywalker, but since there is no possible way that she could be a Skywalker,
they're siblings, man. I don't care.
There's no way that they're siblings. It just wouldn't make any sense at this point.
Literally nothing else does make sense. It's the only
understand that.
Outcome.
I really don't understand that because I don't get that.
I'm
not picking up on that at all.
To have that conversation. We're gonna have a conversation another time. But I do think that as long as there's Star Wars movies that aren't a Star Wars story, that there will be a Skywalker somewhere. I just think that's part of what makes it what it is. And and I think that the only option for that is Rey. And that furthers my theory that
what's funny is that I think Kylo might survive outside these movies.
He might survive, but he's not gonna have any babies.
Yeah. No, I don't think he might have any.
Which means siblings.
Well, I don't know.
Option.
I don't know if he actually ever have any kids, but I can see Kylo Ren falling in love. I mean, it seems like a far-fetched thing.
He's too self-absorbed and self-centric. Like he's got no room to care. Like, he literally, that's his whole shtick, is that he's over caring in general. Like, he shut that part of himself off. So I mean, I don't think that it's realistic to think that he could care enough about somebody else to.
Well, like, that's the thing, is that, like,
and Star Wars isn't about just like banging. You know what I mean? Like, people don't get
no, obviously not. But it's definitely about like lineage, and that's definitely like a big part.
I just don't think that like they would put someone in the movie for him to. It's not Game of Thrones. Like, they wouldn't put someone in the movie for him to just bump uglies with, and then you'd have to wonder later whether so and so was his kid. He would either be in love or he wouldn't. Like, even Anakin was in love.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, Anakin found love before he made a definitive turn to the dark side. But like, Kylo, I mean, from what we know, because we don't know,
it defined his turn to the dark side. Whereas Kylo, there's no way he has a secret Padme statue.
Yeah, like a crutch or something like that. That we just don't know about.
That's, first of all, that would be terrible. That would be, like, I would be very disappointed. Second of all, I just, now that he doesn't already, I don't think he's at the point where he can, like, he's killed his dad, and he would have killed Luke if Luke was there and wasn't capable of
that's true.
Him.
But, like,
so, I mean,
I feel like
he's gone.
Yeah, I feel like with Luke and his, like, desire to kill Luke stems more from anger towards, like, obviously, like, there was that moment where he thought, and, like, the one thing I think is the beauty about that scene where they show what Luke remembered and then they show what Kylo remembered. I think the wonderful thing is that you don't know whose memory is actually the one that
I don't think
happened,
either one of them
or
is
if it's a mix. I think that's me too. I think it's a mix between the two. And obviously we're seeing, like, each one's point of view. Like, in Luke's, he seemed like, oh, I'm just thinking about it and this and that. But then we look at Kylo, and, like, Kylo, like, looked at Luke like Luke was about to just run it right through him without thinking about it.
Yeah,
like, the look on his face
middle, I think
in the movie. Yeah, so I just think that, like, Kylo, his anger towards Luke just comes from that. Obviously, you know, the whole family thing, but, like, that moment where he looked up and he sees him, like, ready to, like, strike him down or something like that, then he's, like, really pissed with him. And then obviously his whole thing with his dad is a whole nother story. That's, like, abandonment issues.
I was going to say, I think that when Kylo killed his dad, he really thought he was being selfless. Like, I think he thought it was the necessary step to take to embracing, like, true anarchy in his heart, like, to not having any connections to, you know, anything, other than the fact that he didn't kill Leia obviously shows that it didn't really work. But I think that he intentionally going through Han meant that he was burning his bridges. He couldn't turn back even if he wanted to. And then with Luke, I don't think it was a selfless thing at all. I think it was just pure, like, anger and rage.
It was just hatred.
And hatred and also arrogance. And I think that I think that that's different. But I
feel like it was the same thing that Anakin felt when he had the fight with Obi-Wan. Like, there was that moment during the fight with Kylo and Luke where he, like, ignites his saber and he's looking at Luke, and because of the way the flames are, like, flying off his saber and things like that and the lighting, the look, like, literally the color of his eyes makes almost that same kind of golden tint that the Sith would get when they started, like, killing things, like, when, you know, Palpatine or whatever. And
that's the interesting thing about Kylo is he's not a Sith, and I think we've talked about that, but I don't think enough people realize that he's just really strong in the dark side. But he's intentionally, he doesn't want to be a Sith, and I think that people don't really think about that often. They just assume Sith.
And I think that's because people misunderstand what Sith and Jedi actually are. And like I said, we've explained this before.
Just like Rey's not a Jedi. But I think just
because just like Rey isn't a Jedi. Eventually, she will be, or whatever the new Jedi Order might turn out to be. A Jedi, you know, for all intents and purposes. But that's that's like the whole thing. It's like people don't really understand what a Sith actually is. They just think it's like, oh, if you use the dark side, you're a Sith. If you use the light side, you're a Jedi. Right. But that's not how it works at all. You could be
not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works. You could literally be like the most ridiculously strong dark side user. But if you don't say, like, if you say, like, I'm not a Sith, then you're not a Sith. Like, if you don't...
Right, it's all about the creed and the buy-in. Yeah, I mean...
Exactly. And like I said, it's more, like we said before, it's more of a ranking than it is, like, just something you just call
There's only
people
two
that
Sith.
can use the
I mean, not in the Old Republic days, because that's an actual species. But in terms of, like, how we know Star Wars in terms of the saga movies, there's only two at a time. Other than that, you're just a dark side... fanatic, but you can be a dark side fan and not be Sith. It's all about the religion aspect of it, just like Jedi. You can be, I mean, but I don't think, obviously, it's not a matter of thinking. Kylo's clearly not a Sith, and
no, he's not, and that's fine, because honestly, I think that works better for him, because he says to him, I think it really creates this lovely balancing act where the Jedi, Luke says it himself, they need to end. We need to kind of finish up this, what we consider being a Jedi.
Right.
And on the other side of that is kind of the same thing happening where Snoke, at no point in time do we find out that Snoke is a Sith. Like,
right, no, absolutely. He just corrupted him
Kylo's
mentally.
a Sith. Like, he just kind of got rid of that. Yeah, exactly. And so it's like not subscribing to that is almost like doing what that the Jedi were never able to do, which is letting go of an order, like letting go of this whole, all right, this is our order, this is how we do things, these are the rules, and saying like, all right, things are different, things are changing, the way the Force works might not be the way we understand it to.
No, because, I think it's similar to religion in the real world. As things evolve and things get harder and harder to indoctrinate to and like be all in on. And and when you do, you're kind of a zealot as opposed to a logical thinking person. So I think that I think that Luke recognized that, and Rey certainly does too. But part of Kylo's thing that makes him so interesting is that he, like if Dooku were in a duel, he might not be in a duel if he weren't Sith. Like he's in a duel because of the fact that he has a bigger part to play in the whole Sith. Story, but he might never have fought Obi-Wan and Anakin unless he was a Sith specifically. Whereas Kylo fights because he's a jerk and because he's angry and because he wants to fight. But all of his fights are personal, and I think that's what makes him so interesting, even compared to someone like Vader, who was kind of, either a puppet for Palpatine or just kind of really strong. But none of his fights were like, other than when he fought Obi-Wan and other than, when he killed all the Tuskens, I guess, they weren't really personal fights. And most Sith fights aren't. I think that's another example of how Kylo's really just his own bad guy, which makes him pretty interesting.
Yeah, which makes him much more interesting, I think. That's and I think that he was able to do something that the Sith weren't able to do, which is, like I said, by kind of writing off this old order and saying, like, like you said, his fights are personal. He's fighting for, like, personal reasons, things like that.
Right, which is why he can kill Snoke. Because he doesn't care. He's just there to, get his own way. If he was a Sith, I mean, obviously Sith kill each other, and that's how you sort of move up in the ranks.
How it goes.
But that's not why he killed Snoke. He killed Snoke because he wanted to, not because he had ambition.
He killed Snoke because it's almost like those moments that you'll only get if you go into the extended universe. But those moments between Vader and Palpatine that are tense, where Palpatine almost pushes Vader into a corner where it's like, you have two choices. You can kill me and, like, overthrow me, or try to kill me.
Which is the whole point of the Sith in the first place. Like, that's Palpatine totally, like, he lives for that. And he's super manipulative and stuff. But Snoke, while he's manipulative, I think he's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Whereas Palpatine is, like, true
Yeah, and like Palpatine, the way Palpatine would have treated Kylo is much different than the way Snoke treated Kylo.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Snoke,
Yeah.
Once Snoke got to a point, he had no issue telling Kylo, like, oh, like, you're not as powerful as I thought you were going to be. You're not as good as this as I thought you were going to be. You're kind of like, almost like, and then that moment that Kylo has when he does kill Snoke, it was because Snoke was just talking reckless trash about him.
Right,
and,
it just showed his hubris and
his edge.
His arrogance. But yeah, no, when Snoke, it was because he wanted to, not because of ambition, like I said. And I think that that's the difference. Like when Vader killed the Emperor, it was obviously for his son and everything, but he wasn't a Sith anymore when he did. Other than that, every Sith who killed another Sith was ambition.
That's a part of being a Sith, is that, you know, the whole idea between master and apprentice is master is supposed to show absolute strength all the time.
Right, and when you get killed, that was your purpose, was that you made someone strong enough to kill you, which means the next person should be strong enough to kill them, and you just keep going until you're super
and that's
strong.
Just how it works. Right. Yeah, and that's just how it works. And like that's, you know, like, and then, you know, the apprentice's job is to, once their master is no longer stronger than them, your job is to kill them. Because they're no longer doing their job as your master, which is to
now you need to find someone to make stronger than you, and then you have peace. Like, no one wants to live forever, even Sith.
Exactly.
Like, they want to get to the point where their purpose was realized, and they can, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like I said, you only really get this if you go into the extended universe, but Vader and Palpatine have had conversations where they're like, you know, one of the more recent books that came out was the Sith Lord's book, and there's like a scene where something had just happened, something like pretty intense, and during that time, the Emperor was not necessarily caught off guard, but he was distracted. So there was a moment where Vader could have killed him, and at the end of that, the Emperor comes to Vader, and once they're fine and they're good,
him for not doing so.
And he asked him, he was like, did you, he's like, you had it, he's like, you know, he's like, did you think about it in this time? And he was like, well, master, I don't want to, and he was kind of like dancing around it, and Palpatine's like, listen,
that's the whole point.
If you didn't think about it, if this wasn't in your mind, then you're weak. Like, if it didn't at least cross your mind to kill me, then you're not strong enough to be my apprentice. And, you know, his whole you know, and Vader's whole thing was like, oh, but, you know, you're my master. There's this, and, you know, Palpatine's like, that's our relationship. If you have a moment where you're stronger than me, you're a Sith. That's your job, is to kill. So it's really interesting because I don't see, you know, like you said, Kylo, he's not that, and his agenda just doesn't follow along that path.
Right, his agenda is not to further a doctrine or to make like the Sith religion stronger or to continue. His agenda is to just destroy literally everything ever. So I mean, that's what makes him so unique.
Some
as
men
a bad guy
just want to watch
general.
the world burn.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a total nihilist and anarchist and all that. So it's really interesting,
and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, it'll be good, but I do think that that's just further proof that he can't be with somebody in a caring way, which means that he won't continue the lineage himself, which is why Rey will.
Which that means there must be another Skywalker somewhere.
Exactly.
Maybe, exactly possibly. But that's, you know, to answer my dad's, you know, question with this conversation we're having. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, like, you know, Kylo right now, besides Leia, and maybe Rey, is like the only Skywalker around. So if it was going to be, if the Skywalker line was to continue, it would be through him. How would that happen? I don't know, because it doesn't seem like he is capable of falling in love with someone.
Yeah, I don't think they could at this point without really ruining him as a character. I think they could, like, do the whole, you know, he turned good at the end Vader thing. And maybe he could survive that, whereas Vader couldn't. But I think that would be not as compelling as just letting him be terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting because I did see during that, when they had that, those leaks, I guess you could call them, where they were kind of, a couple details about the movie got out. I think one of the ones that was pretty interesting was that, I guess Kylo now, in this new regime, or whatever, now that Snoke is gone, is seen as more of a benevolent and kind leader to his stormtroopers until, like, you know, the actual First Order. Not like he's going around, you know, the galaxy and, like, not... Yeah, but he's still killing people, just in a nicer way, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see what that means for his character, or, you know, what that looks like on screen, or if any of that's even true, because it could all be nonsense. You know, who knows? Like, because at this point, I'm not sure what part of the production process they're in with Episode 9.
Pre-prod.
But I'm thinking, like, they're still at a decent part where they, you know, we might have got, like, leaks, but they could change. Like, who knows, like, what the storyline will be. Oh, they haven't even
shot. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So, like, you know, who knows what that stuff actually meant. But, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, Dad, if you are listening, which I'm pretty sure you are, because you're on your way to Pennsylvania right now, I appreciate it, and I hope we answered your question. Yeah, so, but other than that, yeah, guys, the Solo movie is on its way. I'm really excited. It's tomorrow. I'm thinking of trying, because I didn't get to do it with The Last Jedi, because I was just so all over the place that night. It would be really cool to be able to do, like, a little reaction video that I can post up. I'm going to do my best to get that done right after the movie, and then get it uploaded. So I'm hoping to do that this time around, because I wasn't able to do it with The Last Jedi.
I'll be home in the afternoon. Maybe I can hop on for a little bit and we can talk about it on Friday, if you've already seen it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm going to see it tomorrow night, so or I'm hoping to. I don't know what's up with Amber's work schedule, but if she's not working, then I'll definitely be going to see it. So like I said, guys, let us know what you think. It'd be really cool if you live in the Connecticut area or anywhere around this area, and you like doing the convention circuit that kind of goes through this, you know, area. Yeah, Terrificon's coming up. Also, the CT Comic Con, or not? I think it's like Comic Con with two N's, like Connecticut, and it goes the one that's at Foxwoods. So that's the one that Cubed Gamers was able to get press passes to. So we'll be there. We'll be hanging out, taking pictures. Passing out cards and t-shirts and a bunch of other crazy fun stuff. So if you are in this area and you happen to find yourself at the Connecticut Comic-Con over at Foxwoods, and I believe it's June 30th and July 1st, I will be there. I'll be interviewing people and doing a bunch of stuff. Oh, dude, what's her name's going to be there? Kate Flannery, the woman who played...
Meredith.
Yeah, she's going to be there, and I'm so excited because I'm hoping that I can...
is too.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can score some interviews with them, and I think it would be awesome to ask them Star Wars questions and see what kind of answers I could get. I think that would be really funny. So yeah, we'll see if I can possibly get some cool interviews with some celebs. That'd be awesome. But either way, I will be there, and like I said, I'll be hanging around, taking pictures, reporting on the event itself. I'm really excited about it. So hopefully we'll see you guys there too. But in the meantime, there's a lot going on, so please join us next week so we can talk about the Solo movie. We're going to avoid any spoilers. As far as us giving you guys spoilers, we're going to make sure we do the same thing. If you guys have been with us for a while, you know, because we went through The Last Jedi together. Yeah, don't worry about spoilers from us because we don't do that. So we're going to give it a week so that way you guys got some time to watch it. And then next week on Wednesday, we're going to come together and we'll talk about it. And I'm really excited. Like I said, guys, don't listen to any reviews. I mean, we've said this about The Last Jedi too. So once again, if you've been with us for a while, you kind of know our rhetoric, which is we don't judge ahead of time because, you know, what's the point? If we haven't seen it, then we can't really make an opinion on it, and we don't spoil anything. So, yeah, guys, don't worry about all the judgments so far. Go watch it and see it for yourself and see if you like it. I know I'm going to because it looks like, I don't know, man. I'm really excited for Lando, but the more I watch it, the previews and all this other stuff, I'm really getting excited for Chewie. Like really excited for Chewbacca's story. I think it's going to be really cool. And like I said,
did post on our Facebook yesterday a picture because I was at the movies last night.
Oh yeah.
And the poster, I was like right up in front of it looking at it, and part of the poster has it looks like Chewbacca and I imagine probably Han, but it's Chewbacca and then a human, and they're both riding these like yak things. I don't even know how to describe it. So I posted that to our Facebook last night. I'm really excited to see what that is. And then also I'll post it tonight to our Facebook. But I was at Walmart and they had the Millennium Falcon Lego set, so I was looking at the back of it.
Yeah.
And that little thing between the two little prongs in the front of the Falcon is definitely a pod of some kind because it detaches from the Lego set, and it has Kira, the Emilia Clarke character, sitting in it. So I'll post that picture to the Facebook page tonight too. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. We got to figure out a time to go together because we've still never gone to a Star Wars movie together.
Yeah, I know. We really got to go see this one together. I
got to see you in general because I have the pin from Pin X Tizzle.
Yeah, we got to
shout out.
Yeah,
if you're on Instagram, go follow
Pin
X
thanks for those
Tizzle.
pins, man.
My buddy Todd
really
from the Weezer fan club just started an enamel pin Etsy, and his first pin is Obi-Wan. So check him out.
It's really good. It looks really cool.
Oh, it's so nice. I have it on my work lanyard already. It's really high quality. It's affordable. It's a great dude, and he's just a cool guy. We've hung out a few times, but yeah, his pin's really cool, and I have the pin to give away to R.J. Anderson, who won the raffle on Star Wars Day on May the 4th. So I have his his address, so I'll be sending that out this week. And
Sweet.
Yeah, no,
That's awesome.
it's really, really sick, and I'm excited to give you yours, so I got to see you in general. But either way, we got to go see Solo, because we've never seen a Star Wars movie together.
Yeah, we do got to go see Solo, man. I think if you're going, like, possibly, were you planning on going tomorrow night or, like, Friday?
I'm going tomorrow night, but I can figure out a time to go again too. It might make time to let it die down a little bit and wait till the theaters won't be packed, because I can go for free with Movie Pass, but it's really hard to find seats when it's busy. So it might make sense to like wait a week or so, or maybe go during the day during a weekday or something. But
Tuesdays always work for me for sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
maybe that'll work for me in the next couple weeks, where we can go like early afternoon or early evening, late afternoon on a Tuesday. Because it'll be less busy, and
for sure, man. That sounds like a good time. Oh, also, for all you guys out there who either have kids or just like to collect the toys, Toys R Us is finally having like decent sales.
Yeah.
So if you have been waiting, because you've been waiting for like the 50% off and like the big sales, go now, because
they're going to close in the next 2 months. A lot of the stores are closing in May. And May's just about over. So, definitely go now to... Also, Babies R Us. I know it's not Star Wars related, but Babies R Us is... they're mostly ravaged, where they don't have a lot of good stuff anymore. But
we went and they got, like... They look like they got freaking looted when we went.
Really bad.
It was like run down. I was like, oh my god, they were selling the shelving at the Babies R Us in Waterford.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, like Toys R Us is, at least the one near us, they're still pretty stocked. Their Star Wars stock is getting pretty low.
Right.
So
all their good stuff's going low.
All their good stuff is on its way out. But I will say, if you guys have any, like I said, if you have any young kids and you want to get stuff for them for later, if you're just like, there's been like that one like weird like little, BB gun or whatever they're called, the airsoft guns or whatever, and you've just been waiting, just go. Because like I said, everything's like 50% off right now, and it's super cheap. Oh, also, once again, for those people who have kids, those speeders, the Luke speeder.
Oh, I know.
The price is down to $100 right now.
God damn it!
Yeah, I know. I want one. I want one for Finn so bad, man.
I wanted one for myself when they announced it. That was way back before Talking Sith started. But I posted about it like 2 years ago. I was like, man, I really want this. But God, it was like $300 back then.
Yeah, it's only $100 right now. So, yeah, guys, if you have a chance to get down there, go. I know my local Toys R Us only had about 24 or 25 of them left, which is a lot, but still, like, they'll go. So, if you have time, they're only $100. I almost bought 2 of them the other day. Like, I almost bought 2. I kid you not, I was talking to Amber. I was like, dude, I'm about to just buy 2 of them and then give one to Adam for Rivers. I was like, I'm serious. I'm serious, dude, because they were so cheap. I'm like, $100, man. These things used to be like 300. Like, it was almost worth it. I should have done it. I honestly should have. Like, I was standing there with my cash in hand, like, oh god, I really want these. Yeah, but yeah, guys, so there's a little bit of toy news. If you have some time, get out in there and grab some toys. The new Lego sets are freaking awesome. That new Harry Potter Lego set is freaking amazing. I know that has nothing to do with Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star Wars sets are nice too, though. Really cool. And
yeah, they
Walmart
really are.
has the Black Series for Solo, so they had like Han, they had Chewie with his bandolier and everything. They also have that new, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the Force something
where
Force
like you
Link? Can. Yeah. So they have the Solo characters that have Force Link capability now too.
Yeah. And what's cool about that is that line isn't just from like new movies. They're actually like doing like Clone Wars era
Oh yeah, they
stuff
had like Jawas.
too.
They had a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it is really cool. So Walmart, you know, I'm not really one to plug Walmart, but they did have a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and it was pretty cool. But
yeah, they're finally starting to get in the stuff that I saw when I was in Disney.
Right.
That was already on the shelves. Like now, Walmart's starting to get that because I saw, dude, they finally have a Black Series Tarkin. I was like, oh my god, dude! Like I was so stoked. So I'm gonna have to go pick that one up. I know literally no one else on Earth cares about Tarkin but me. But still,
I love Tarkin, man. I don't love him like you love him, but I think Tarkin's one of the coolest characters.
Yeah, I think he's such a cool character. But yeah, guys, yeah, go out, get some toys. That's like half the fun of Star Wars is getting toys, even if it's not for you, get some for your kids, or at least pretend they're for your kids so you can play with them. But
just get like 6 land speeders and make a Megazord and race yourself around.
Exactly. Oh man, I want one of those. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. You can find us again next week on my family members who were with me throughout the week and checked out some of our episodes while we were sitting and talking and spread the word a little bit, so I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone who joins us every week to talk about our shared love of Star Wars. And hopefully we will see you next week so we can talk about the Solo movie, which comes out tomorrow. And as always, I am Chaz, your host, and joined by my lovely co-host, Adam.
Lovely.
Thanks again for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Wordy birdie.
Yeah, but we'll see you guys next week. Have a...
Later.